If you're a scientist or an aspiring scientist, you must have heard of the name Albert Einstein, a man whose name is synonymous for genius, a man who was way ahead of his time. What exactly is the story of this great legend, and how did he rise to this level of influence? And what lessons can we as STEM students draw out from his life? That's coming up in Hall of STEM. Albert Einstein was born in Wittenberg, Germany, on March 14, 1879, into a family of secular Ashkenazi Jews. His parents were Hermann Einstein and Pauline Koch. His family moved around a lot, from Germany to Italy and then finally to Switzerland. History records that Einstein was a rebel in high school, and he dropped out at the age of 15 and then renounced his German citizenship in order to avoid the mandatory military service. He then moved to Switzerland, and there he finished his high school, gained his diploma from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Mathematics and Natural Sciences in 1900, and acquired a Swiss citizenship in 1901. While studying at the institute, he met Mileva Maric, the only female in his class. They both shared a passion for physics and enjoyed each other's company, and in 1903, they got married and had 2 sons. It was Einstein's dream to be a teacher of the natural sciences, mathematics and physics in a higher institution. Unfortunately for him, this dream job would not come until many years after his graduation, as he was unable to find a teaching position in a higher institution. And so, with the help of his father's friend, he got a position as a technical assistant in the Swiss Patent Office. Even though this job wasn't his desire, it ended up being a blessing in disguise. He served at the Patent Office from 1902 until 1909, a period of 7 years. And over the course of these years, Einstein developed theories that will fundamentally alter the way we perceive the universe. He would swiftly examine the patents, giving him plenty of time to daydream and produce his groundbreaking theories. In 1905, often called Einstein's miracle year, he published 4 papers, each of which would alter the course of modern physics. The first was his hypothesis on the photoelectric effect, for which he received the Nobel Prize in 1921. The Brownian Motion was the topic of the second paper. The theory of special relativity, his third paper, was the most groundbreaking and controversial theory he wrote. And the fourth was the mass-energy equivalence, in which he proposed the world's most famous equation, E equals mc squared. This particular paper ushered in the atomic age. Einstein would eventually write about the Patent Office, that worldly cloister, where I hatched my most beautiful ideas. And that brings us to our first lesson. Where you start in life does not matter, but what you do with where you start in life does matter. The Patent Office may have not been Einstein's dream job, but he used the opportunity in that job, which was time, to hatch his most brilliant ideas. Also, the patent Einstein worked on, especially those relating to electromechanical synchronization, triggered his famously powerful thoughts on special relativity. There are always opportunities around us. We just need the right attitude and an open mind to see them. So no to despising where you are in life, and yes to using it to plan the future you desire. I want you to comment down below, what has been a patent office experience for you? For me, it was definitely COVID era. I despised online classes, but I realized that I actually had the time to work on other things, so I used that time to develop my writing skills, and I was able to come up with other ideas that I do intend on releasing later. So let's know what your patent office experience has been. Lesson number 2, the power of imagination. One day, Einstein was riding in a bus when he noticed the renowned clock tower in Switzerland, Berlin, and then he thought to himself, what would happen to me, or what would happen to this bus if it's riding at the speed of light? And then he saw with his mind that if this bus is riding at the speed of light, time would appear frozen to him on the bus, but back at the clock tower, it would be normal. And then he realized that the faster he races through space, the slower he moves through time. And this gave birth to Einstein's special theory of relativity. You see, imagination is powerful. It is very powerful. Einstein was a theoretical physicist, which means he relied heavily on his imagination and mathematical models to come up with those amazing theories, as opposed to the experimental physicists who will first experiment and then create their theories. What I love about Einstein is that he used his imaginations to create, connect, and understand concepts. So it's not just about imagining, but what are you imagining and what dominates your thoughts? Your thoughts are powerful and are capable of producing solutions to the world's problems. You just have to believe in yourself, expose yourself to knowledge, and engage the power of meditation. You would think that Einstein would gain some level of recognition after these groundbreaking theories, but the physics community paid no attention to him nor his theories. As far as they were concerned, these crazy thoughts from a crazy wannabe physicist who worked at a patent office were ridiculous. Einstein's papers eventually got the attention of Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, one of the most influential theoretical physicists in Europe. Max Planck was the editor of Annalen de Physik, the most important physics journal of that time. Mr. Planck is credited for discovering 26-year-old Albert Einstein and his radical theories. As Max Planck threw his weight around Einstein, physicists in Germany started to understand and accept Einstein's theories. He gained more recognition, speaking offers and teaching positions from all over Switzerland. The position he once sought after came seeking for him. He got teaching offers from the University of Bern, University of Zurich, the Charles Ferdinand University of Prague, all of which he accepted and lectured in for a period of time. Einstein continued to work on various scientific papers and his special theory of relativity. For 10 years, Einstein worked on modifying the special theory of relativity into a general theory of relativity. As he was rising in his career, Einstein poured more time into his work and less into his family, and also began an extramarital affair with his cousin, Elsa Lowenthal, of whom he eventually divorced his wife for. Einstein moved his family back to Germany, his birth home, in 1914 and accepted a position at the University of Berlin, where he was appointed director of the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Physics. This position gave him professorship without teaching duties, which helped him to work on his scientific papers. In 1915, Einstein finished and published his work on general relativity, and this theory was confirmed to be true by an astrophysicist, Sir Arthur Eddington, during the solar eclipse in 1919. This theory was groundbreaking, astonishing, phenomenal, extraordinary, as it challenged and overthrew some of Newton's ideas and brought new understanding of gravity, space-time, and mass. The name Albert Einstein gained worldwide recognition in an instant. There were extensive press coverage over this discovery, and in November of 1919, the British Times had a headline banner that read, "Revolution in Science, New Theory of the Universe, Newtonian Ideas Overthrown." Einstein's success had him traveling all around the world with his new wife, Elsa Lowenthal. He gave lectures in various institutions like Princeton and Columbia. In 1921, he won the Nobel Prize in Physics for his first paper on the photoelectric effect. He continued to enjoy the success his theory had given him, although he wasn't too enthusiastic about the celebrity status, as he was a man of solitude. Trouble came knocking in 1930 when the Nazis took over Germany. The Jewish rights had been revoked. Einstein and other scientists were named as enemies of the state in a German magazine in 1933, the year Hitler took power. A $5,000 bounty was placed on his head, next to the caption, "Not yet hanged," in the same German magazine. Einstein sailed to the United States, where he received a position at Princeton University. In 1935, he got his permanent residency, and in 1940, he became a citizen of the United States. In 1939, Einstein and Robert Oppenheimer agreed that the Nazi scientists could create a nuclear weapon using the principle of the mass-energy equivalence Einstein had theorized years ago. Two Hungarian scientists, Leo Szilard and Eugene Wigner, wrote a letter to President Roosevelt of the United States with Einstein's signature, urging the US government to beat the Germans at creating the first atomic bomb. As a result of this letter, the US government launched the Manhattan Project, aka the Atomic Bomb Development Project, in December of 1941. In 1945, On August 6th and 9th, the atomic bomb was used on the Japan cities Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing an estimated 200,000 people in both cities. Einstein later described signing that letter as the one greatest mistake in his life. In an interview with the Newsweek magazine, he said, "Had I known that the Germans would not succeed in developing an atomic bomb, I would have done nothing." Okay, let's talk about this. The dangers of science. So we know that science and technology have advanced the world. I mean, we've been able to come up with cures and vaccines and medications and some pretty cool stuff. You know, the photoelectric absorption, Einstein's first paper, actually creates the contrast we see in mammogram. Your GPS relies on corrections from the general relativity. But as you know, there is always a downside to everything. The story of the development of the atomic bomb is the reason why we have regulatory laws and bodies to prevent the harmful use of science and technology. But we know that not all 8 billion people on this planet would actually keep those rules and laws. So I'm at a crossroad here. What do we do about this? What do we do about countries that consistently use science and technology to threaten other countries? As scientists, do we stop creating and inventing? What do you think we can and should do as scientists to prevent these kinds of situations? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Other than being a scientist, Einstein was many other things. He was a pacifist. He hated and spoke against wars and promoted peace. He was also a humanitarian, using his platform to speak against racism and anti-Semitism. In 1955, Einstein suffered a rupture of an abdominal aortic aneurysm, for which he previously had surgery for. This time, he refused surgery, stating, "I want to go when I want. It is tasteless to prolong life artificially. I have done my share. It is time to go, and I will do it elegantly." On April 18, 1955, Einstein breathed his last. His remains were cremated and scattered in the Delaware River. It was said that Einstein specifically requested that he be cremated. However, this request was not totally honored. A pathologist named Thomas Harvey removed his brain without the permission of his family, which he eventually got after his family found out. This gave scientists the opportunity to study his brain. In the studies conducted on his brain, it was reported that Einstein lacked the lateral sulcus, also known as the Sylvian fissure, a deep fissure in each hemisphere that separates the frontal and parietal lobes from the temporal lobes. Researchers at McMaster University hypothesized that the void may have improved communication between neurons in this region of the brain. This atypical brain structure may help to explain why Einstein reasoned the way he did. Furthermore, in all regions examined, Einstein's brain had more glial cells than neurons, but this difference was statistically significant only in the left inferior parietal area. Glial cells are non-neuronal cells in the central nervous system that provide nourishment, support, and protection to the neurons. Glial cells can expand in proportion to a stimulating environment, and Einstein's lifelong study of challenging scientific topics may have contributed to the increase of these glial cells. Some people believe that these studies were flawed and may have been influenced by publication bias. But regardless of what these studies may or may not reveal, we know for a fact that Albert Einstein was a man of extraordinary intelligence and reasoning, and for this he is considered as one of the greatest geniuses to have ever lived. I think we can all agree that Einstein does fulfill all three criteria. He did have a vision for himself and humanity. He encountered a couple of setbacks and challenges, and of course, his theories did impact the world. For that, he has earned a seat in our hall.